Welcome to News Now Alberta. This is Special Ed. Please leave a comment on this video as it helps with YouTube's algorithm. Just say hi. Today we're going all the way to Colorado, where a woman who was handcuffed in back of a police car gets hit by a train. These videos could be hard to watch. Fair warning.
We have a police officer now who is on trial after leaving a handcuffed woman in a police car when it was parked on the train tracks. A train slammed in the car, but thankfully the woman survived. Kana Whitworth has that story for us. Good morning, Kana.
Yeah, Robin, good morning. The video terrifying. As you can imagine, the suspect in the car had extensive injuries, including a traumatic brain injury. And this morning, the lawyer for the officer says she never realized the other officer she was assisting had parked on the tracks. This morning, the officer accused of placing a handcuffed female suspect in the back of a patrol car moments before a freight train plowed into it is standing trial. Police body and dash cameras capturing the horrifying crash.
At the time, she elected to place Yareni Rios-Gonzalez in the Platteville patrol car parked on the railroad tracks instead of her own patrol unit that was safely parked to the west of the railroad tracks.
Officer Jordan Steinke is facing 2 charges: felony attempted reckless manslaughter and misdemeanor reckless endangerment. Steinke taking the stand Tuesday, arguing that she did not see any reflective signs or gates indicating a railroad crossing at the time of the incident.
It was incredibly dark. I was miles outside of my jurisdiction. I was fairly certain that that particular stop was going to end in a gunfight. I never in a million years thought a train was going to come plowing through my scene.
Claiming she would have not put the suspect in the vehicle if she knew it was parked on a railroad.
I trusted that Sergeant Vasquez's vehicle was in a secure location at that time.
We have to remember that hindsight is 20/20. The body cam is going to be so vital because now we can see how much light there was. How far was she?
Get us medical.
The woman who survived the collision, 21-year-old Yareni Rios-Gonzalez, was initially arrested and charged with a misdemeanor for an alleged road rage incident back in September. She pled no contest. The edited 8-minute video released by police shows officers pulling her over, one officer parking on the track.
Turn around! Put your hands up higher.
With guns drawn, police order her to get out, handcuff her, and put her into the back of the cruiser.
Ma'am, what's going on?
The officers return to search her truck, but then a train can be heard approaching. The horn finally catching their attention. One officer turns, looks back at the cruiser, and runs.
Stay back!
Rios-Gonzalez hit while still cuffed inside. The car destroyed on impact, Rios-Gonzalez sustaining extensive injury.
So somehow she survives this, with many injuries including brain trauma, broken arm, broken leg, 9 broken ribs, and a fractured sternum, and those are only the worst ones. She sued the police officer, the station, and the city and got awarded $8.5 million. But does that take away all the pain she went through? Fort Lupton police officer Jordan Steinke was the woman who put her in the back of the police car. She went on trial for attempted reckless manslaughter, a felony, and 2 misdemeanors, reckless endangerment and 3rd-degree assault. She stated that she didn't know that the car was parked on the train tracks because there was no gate or clear signage. Now there was no gate, but in the video you clearly see the 2 crosses and the 2 stop signs. And how do you not notice that you're walking on a railroad track? Cops were yelling, "Oh my God," as soon as they heard the train, so they knew where the car was parked. She was found guilty of reckless endangerment and assault, but the attempted manslaughter was dropped. And of course, being a cop, she only got probation and community service, which is a joke. She almost killed someone with her incompetence. She was fired only after the conviction came in. So if they would have not convicted her, she could have continued being a cop. She lost her peace officer standards and training certificate. Her attorney, Mallory Revel, said, meaning she can never be a police officer again. Now, To the cop that stopped his car on the tracks, Sergeant Pablo Vasquez. This cop had so many complaints on him by other officers at his previous place of employment. His reviews were horrible, and other cops called him incompetent because half the time he didn't know where his officers were, could hardly know where he was, and that shows.
A Platteville police sergeant who parked his patrol car on train tracks last month was labeled incompetent by officers at his previous department.
That's from internal investigation documents uncovered by CBS 4 investigator Brian Moss. And Brian, you were able to get hold of internal investigations by the Federal Heights Police Department.
The reason we did that is because Federal Heights was the last department that Vasquez worked at before he went to Platteville. These internal affairs investigations we're talking about suggest there were numerous concerns about Vasquez's abilities as a police officer. Platteville Police Sergeant Pablo Vasquez had stopped a road rage suspect last month and parked his police vehicle on railroad tracks. Another officer put the handcuffed suspect into Vasquez's car, and it was promptly hit by a freight train. The suspect received serious injuries but survived. At Vasquez's previous department, Federal Heights, fellow officers there had called Vasquez incompetent. Another said Vasquez operates with a lack of care for his own safety and the safety of his officers. A Federal Heights commander recommended Vasquez be demoted. Platteville police then hired the sergeant. Platteville's police chief has not said what he knew about Vasquez's background when he hired him.
He went to trial for reckless endangerment and 2 other charges, and pleaded guilty to the reckless endangerment charge to avoid other charges. He got 1 year unsupervised probation, and if he keeps out of trouble, then the charges would disappear off his record. He could still be a cop.
M3126.
Today, the Platteville police officer who pulled her over for road rage
I didn't know she was in my car.
and then parked on the train tracks stood before a judge.
I'll accept the guilty plea.
As part of the plea deal, Pablo Vasquez pleaded guilty to misdemeanor reckless endangerment. 4 other charges were dropped. The judge gave Vasquez 1 year of unsupervised probation, and his case will be dismissed if he stays out of trouble.
That is obviously a little disappointing, I'll say, to Ms. Rios-Gonzalez.
Christopher Ponce is the attorney for Yareni Rios. He says his client was hoping for a permanent conviction.
For her, the most important thing is that he just not go back to policing. I think for the sake of the community and for the sake of any other potential future person who might come into contact with him, I think that is the hope, and that's yet to be seen.
Vasquez is no longer a cop. However, today's guilty plea will not affect his police certification, meaning he could get hired again.
What do you think of this incompetence? Let me know in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.